I'm just gonna go live. Here we go. So
All right.
should be live. Um, Let me just see
Yeah.
if this is working on YouTube. You should have got the notification if you're subscribed to my channel.
Yeah, I'm not logged into the right account right now, so let me check and see if you're live.
Yeah, I'm live.
All right. Cool. Yeah, it said you're live. Yeah, it shows you're live. Okay, cool.
Okay, perfect. So why don't you just introduce yourself to my audience here? Tell them about you, how you got into Chicago sports, and how you became a Chicago Bears and a Chicago Bulls fan.
All right. Well, my channel name's ChicagoSportsVersed, as you guys can see, and I've been a Bears and Bulls fan, actually, believe it or not, since 2017. So that's not long at all. So I got into sports like when I was a little younger, and I feel like I've really been learning a lot about the game and the teams throughout the years since 2017. So yeah, I love to watch sports games, and I'm just a huge Chicago fan. I don't like to miss a Bears game or a Bulls game. Just always like to watch the Bears or Bulls. Yeah, I just love to watch them.
Perfect. Yeah. So, what? Who would you say your favorite team is? Would you say you're more of a Bears fan, or would you say you're more of a Bulls fan?
I would have to go with Bears, but I really like the Bulls. That is a tough question, but I mean, I like them. I would like to say I like them both the same, but I think I'm more consistent with watching Bears games.
Perfect. Yeah. So it seems like you make a lot of content on the Bulls. So since it's just the two of us right now, kind of go about like who do you think the Chicago Bulls? I mean, I don't think they have a first round draft pick this year.
Yeah, they don't.
But who would you want us to draft in the second round or possibly trade up for?
Um, I do have a feeling the Bulls will try to make a trade with the Oklahoma City Thunder since they have all those first round picks that the Clippers gave them. I feel like the Bulls might make a trade with the Thunder to move up to the first round. I don't know what they would really have to give up though. But if we do hold our second round pick, which I believe we have the 8th pick in the second round, so the 38th pick in the draft. I would hope like Io DeSumo, like I talked about in one of my videos, falls to us, or maybe Jericho Sims, or there's a lot of draft prospects out there, or Jalen Crutcher. What was another one I talked about? Like Balsa Provica. And then there was one more I'm trying to think of. But Terrence Shannon Jr. I'd really love to draft Terrence Shannon Jr. if he falls to the second round. I think he would be a nice pickup.
Yeah, interesting. So walk me through what you talk about on your channel. So are you more like what do you mainly talk about on your channel?
So since I started my channel during an off season, which that's not the greatest time to start a sports channel, but I was bored and I did it anyway since I'm on summer vacation. But I've mostly been making Bulls videos because I find more things to talk about with the Bulls. But once the Bears season starts, I'm so excited to make a bunch of videos about the Bears because there's much more news to talk about. But I've found more things to talk about with the Bulls lately. I don't think there's too much going on with the Bears besides like training camp and Justin Fields has been working with the Bears and what they do over the off season.
Yeah, interesting. So let's talk about Justin Fields. I know you're a little bit younger than me. Walk me through when you saw the Bears getting Justin Fields. How did that kind of feel for you? Were you excited to see the Chicago Bears drop Justin Fields? What were the thoughts? What was your reaction on us getting Justin Fields?
It was probably one of the best nights of my life as a Bears fan. Like for the Bears, like I could not believe it. I heard all the talk, people wanting Justin Fields. I don't really look into draft prospects too much, but I mean, you got to know who Justin Fields is. One of the top prospects coming out of college. And I mean, I thought the Broncos were going to take him. I was so worried, and yeah, just a bunch of teams passed up on him, and I was like, once we got to like the 9th, 10th, or 11th, once there was the 9th, 10th, or 11th pick, I was like, we got to trade up. This is our shot. Even if we have to give up a first rounder next year, we got to get this guy. And we ended up doing it, and I was just couldn't believe it.
Yeah, totally. Same. I think once Denver kind of went with whoever they took. I don't know why Denver went with a quarterback when they have quarterback issues with Drew Lock, um, with Teddy Bridgewater, who if you look at Teddy Bridgewater in his NFL career, he hasn't really panned out. He was a Minnesota Viking. He got a devastating injury, and that kind of put him out for like a few years. Then he gets traded to like the Jets. Then he gets traded to New Orleans. He turns around his career, and um, yeah, like for me, like I really felt like Denver was gonna take Justin Fields, and I know you watch my channel, but I got so scared that I went and scared to play the piano because I couldn't handle the stress. So once I got the notification from BR, the rest is history. I mean, the fact that we got this guy, Justin Fields, is just, I never saw this coming in a million years. And it's funny how things transpired because if you look at last year, Bears fans were talking about, oh my God, what if we get Justin Fields? Because like at that time we knew Mitch was not going to be the guy, and to see us get Justin Fields is just absolutely crazy.
Yeah, I totally agree. I totally
Yeah,
agree.
yeah. So who is your favorite player on the Bears?
I mean, I think what a lot of people's favorite player is right now, it's got to be Justin Fields. Definitely one of them. I like Allen Robinson. I really think Darnell Mooney will do great. I'm really excited to watch him play with Justin Fields. I mean, I really like the receivers we got. The Tevin Jenkins. Oh my goodness, I got so excited when we drafted him as well. Yeah, I like a lot of these players. I like a lot of these players. What about you?
Yeah, same. I think right now, probably my favorite player is Justin Fields because the fact that, you have a guy in Justin Fields who is a franchise altering quarterback and a franchise altering player, I think instantly that becomes everyone's favorite player. I mean, when you're hyping up a guy so much, when your whole city goes from having Andy Dalton and being being depressed, in a way, to getting Justin Fields and getting hyped, I think it's instantly Justin Fields. I think you instantly love a guy like Justin Fields. So my player has to be Justin Fields. And then I also like Allen Robinson. I like Darnell Mooney, Khalil Mack, Jalen Johnson. But I think that my favorite player is probably Justin Fields, if you were to ask me. So yeah.
Yeah, that's a great choice to have as your favorite player.
Yeah. So talk to me about what are your expectations for I guess we'll start off with the Bulls and then we'll go to the Bears. What are your expectations for us this year? And also going to with the Bulls, like I know you made a video on free agency, like people that we need to target. So kind of going to that, your expectations, who you want the Bulls to sign in free agency.
In free agency, there's so many options, and I know like the Bulls really need a point guard. That's no secret. Like we're in need of once we get a point guard, I think this team will be like a true contender. Like if we get an established point guard. But there's many options. There's Kyle Lowry. We could trade for a point guard. And I thought Kyle Lowry would be a decent option, especially to mentor Kobe White. But it just depends how much money he wants. Like some of these point guards, like Mike Conley, Kyle Lowry, they just want so much money. And I know Chris Paul is probably like most likely definitely going to pick up his player option. I think he has with how well he's been playing with the Suns because they could maybe get another championship if they after this one. If they win it this year, they can hang on to the 2-0 lead they currently have. But my expectations for the Bulls is obviously get a point guard, and then throughout the season, I do expect the Bulls to make the playoffs, and I think there's going to be a serious issue if the Chicago Bulls miss the playoffs. Like it's got to be something with coaching or something. And I'm also worried, like if the Bulls miss the playoffs, that Zach LaVine's going to leave. Like Zach LaVine's probably like my favorite player on the team, and with all the potential he has, I think he deserves to play in playoff games. And who knows, Zach LaVine could be a totally different player, like in a good way in the playoffs. He could be like just elite in the playoffs. We haven't seen him in the playoffs, so I really want to see LaVine make it with the Bulls, and hopefully he can get that max contract.
Yeah, same. I mean, I'm not into the Bulls as much as you are. I'm more of a football guy. But when I look at the Bulls, they're kind of missing that point guard, that true point guard. I mean, you look at Kobe White. Kobe White, when he was drafted, I was pretty hyped. I mean, he was drafted by the same school as Michael Jordan. I was hyped. I thought this guy would be the dude. And unfortunately, it hasn't really panned out. And the Bulls really need that point guard. They really need that, dare I say, they need really that Lonzo Ball kind of player. Because they have all of these stars. They have Zach LaVine, they have Vooch, they have the Patrick Williams, they have all these guys on their team, and they just need that point guard to help make things flow. I mean, if you think about this from a football perspective, I mean, you can have all of these star players on the team. I mean, I don't know, maybe they could shooting guards like a wide receiver. Zach LaVine is basically the Allen Robinson of the Bears. And if you think about Vooch, it's like maybe like a tight end, maybe like an offensive lineman. I'm just thinking out loud here. Basketball does not directly correlate with football, but the Bulls need that point guard. They need that guy to help make everything flow better. Like for the Bears, like taking this to the Bears, I'm sure what Mitch. I mean, Mitch never could be that guy, and time again, Mitch let us down each and every time. When we needed Mitch in those big moments, yeah, he showed up. I mean, fourth quarter Mitch, who can forget that? But there were certain times when we needed Mitch to be Mitch, and we needed Mitch to be our franchise quarterback. He just never was that guy. Matt Nagy and everything did everything in his power to help Mitch, right? People don't realize that Matt Nagy really made the playbook and adapted to Mitch and really made his complicated plays into plays that Mitch could understand. And Mitch just could never take it. He could just never do it. And maybe that might be Nagy not adapting to Mitch's needs and Mitch's strengths and weaknesses. And I do think he has to pardon that. But if you're a quarterback, you have to step it up. I mean, Mitch in his career has the same issues that he had in his rookie year. He kind of still had in his last year as a Bear, reading defenses, overthrowing receivers, underthrowing receivers. I can go on and on and on. But these were just issues you had with Mitch. And then, and I think that when nobody really saw Justin Fields coming, I mean, me, you, nobody really saw it coming. But if you remember, there was a press conference, I believe. And at that press conference, Matt Nagy said he wanted a quarterback who could run. I mean, Justin Fields is a guy who can run. He wanted a quarterback with a big arm. Justin Fields has one of the biggest arms in the NFL draft. He wanted a guy who had the leadership like Alex Smith. And Justin Fields is a natural-born leader. At Ohio State, he helped bring college football back. So he's a natural-born leader. And he also wanted a guy who could read defenses. Justin Fields was the highest ranked quarterback past the first read according to PFF. Take that as you may, that's PFF. But still, that's telling, coming from a guy like Mitch who kind of struggled to do that. So, going about tying this in with both teams, the Chicago Bulls need like Justin Fields on their team. And the Chicago Bulls need that Justin Fields. And they need that point guard who can be that guy, just like how the Bears have potentially found that guy in Fields.
Totally agree. Yeah.
Yeah, so talk to me about the Bears. What are your expectations for the Chicago Bears?
Well, the expectations, I feel like there's like definitely a lot of pressure on Matt Nagy, like depending when he's going to start Justin Fields. Because I heard some people say, this might have been the Bears organization say, oh, we're going to do the Alex Smith and Patrick Mahomes way, and we're going to let Justin Fields sit out the whole season. And I don't agree with that. I think Fields is ready to start. With Patrick Mahomes, I don't think he was one of the top prospects. Like, yeah, he could definitely be. He's a great QB. But I don't think they expected him to be this great. So, and with Alex Smith rolling, they just had Mahomes sit out most of that season because they didn't know how great he was going to be. But we know how great Justin Fields is supposed to be. He's one of the top prospects coming out of college, and yeah, I think he has the best deep ball percentage accuracy, like with accuracy throwing the deep ball in college in like a long time. So I feel like Fields is ready to start. I would love to see him start week 1, but I think Dalton's going to get a couple starts. And maybe we'll see Fields start in the Lions game. I think that's like week 4, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Fields will start in the Lions game. And yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I'm expecting the Bears to I don't know if the Bears will make the playoffs in Fields' first season as a rookie, but I think they could have a nice like maybe 9-7, 10-6 record as a rookie, and that would be quite impressive.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you. I totally agree with what what you were saying and your points, and how Matt Nagy wants to have that Patrick Mahomes, that Alex Smith here in Chicago. And the problem with that is that, you know, Justin Fields is not Patrick Mahomes, and Andy Dalton is not Alex Smith. And the fact that Matt Nagy really wants this to happen is crazy, because Justin Fields is way more the prospect than Patrick Mahomes was. Sure, Justin Fields has his issues. Sure, he has his things that he has to work on, but by no means is he. I think Justin Fields is more NFL ready than Patrick Mahomes was. So yeah, that's kind of my perspective on that. And you might have watched my video, and I also said that he should start week 4, because that's a perfect time to start him. Like, the Lions are bad. I mean, they got a crazy head coach, sure. But the Lions are a relatively easy team, and a relatively easier defense than the Rams are. So that's kind of why I said week 4, and I'm glad you agree with that video.
Yeah, totally.
So yeah, talk to me about talk talk to me about like who about the Bulls. Like, do you think that the Bulls head coach is a good coach?
I think he's a good head coach. I think if the Bulls can be really consistent with shooting the ball, because I know Billy Donovan likes to have a lot of shooters. And I talked about in my Ben Simmons video that like that wouldn't work out well with Simmons not being able to shoot the ball well. So the Bulls are going to get a point guard. They're going to need someone who can shoot, because I think it would really work well with Billy Donovan's offense. The problem is the Bulls were so inconsistent with like shooting the 3 ball. Like, they would make like, it felt like 23s one night, and then they would be like 3 for 30 the next night. It was just ridiculous. So if we can like be more consistent on the shooting end, I think it'll make Donovan look like a good coach. And I believe Billy Donovan is a pretty good coach. I think all 5 seasons, I believe he was with the Thunder. He was with the Thunder for 5 seasons. I think he took them to the playoffs all those years. I think this one season, the Bulls missed the playoffs. I think that was his first time Donovan's ever missed the playoffs, but can correct me if I'm wrong on that. But I think that's what Billy Donovan has done throughout his coaching career in the NBA. So I think he's a good coach.
Yeah, interesting. So what about Matt Nagy? Do you think that Matt Nagy is a good coach?
I mean, that's actually a tough question. It's like, I think some of his offensive play calling during the 2020 regular season, I thought it was just horrible with Nick Foles and stuff like that. And I think Nagy tried to like develop Trubisky, but Trubisky wasn't for him, because Nagy wasn't here when we drafted Trubisky. So we gave Nagy the wrong quarterback to work with in the first place. But I think since Fields said like he understands the playbook very well, I think he said when he came to the Bears, I think Nagy can be a good coach this year because I think he scouted Fields like or something. I saw in a photo, and I think Fields is the quarterback. Matt Nagy feels like he can work with well, and he can run the offensive plays that Nagy calls well. So I think he's a good coach depending on what quarterback he has and if he has the right quarterback.
Yeah, for sure. And people don't realize that Mitchell Trubisky was not Matt Nagy's guy. Like Matt Nagy really wanted Patrick Mahomes in that draft, right? That was his guy. And again, people think, oh, well, Matt Nagy had his guy Nick Foles. I mean, technically, no, because that was just a trade, and that wasn't really his guy. That wasn't really his franchise guy. Justin Fields is that guy. And I think Matt Nagy, where he differs from Ryan Pace, is that he knows how to analyze and how he knows who the good quarterbacks are versus the bad quarterbacks. And we saw that happen on draft night. We saw him make the right decision. I mean, there was a certain point in the draft where you were like, are they gonna take Mac Jones here? People thought, oh, it's gonna be Mac Jones, and to our surprise, it was Justin Fields, right? So I think that Matt Nagy is a really good talent evaluator, and if he feels like Justin Fields is that Patrick Mahomes, then I think that we have a great quarterback battle with him and Justin Fields.
Exactly.
Yeah, so I don't know if there's anyone else here, but is there anything else that you wanted to talk about or not? This is just a really quick a really quick session for my audience to get to know you. So and join in on a really quick Chicago Bears conversation. So anything else Bulls related or Bears related that you wanted to talk about?
Um, I have a good topic we can talk about, or I think is a good topic. How do you think the defense will do under Sean Desai?
Yeah, so as you know, I'm Indian, so I'm really rooting for Sean Desai, and it's a good question. Sean Desai has worked a lot with Vic Fangio in the past, and I really think that Sean Desai, this is a bold prediction according to me. I'm a little biased. Again, I'm Indian, and he's Indian, but I feel like since Sean Desai worked a lot with Vic Fangio, I think he's going to bring that 2018 defense back here. And also, even though Sean Desai did not play football, he did not play in the NFL, Sean Desai has worked with Eddie Jackson. And he made Eddie Jackson become one of the top safeties here. He knows how to play Eddie Jackson, unlike to how Chuck Pagano did. He's gonna play to Eddie Jackson's strengths. Cornerback was one of our biggest strengths last year. And Sean Desai is a guy who worked with that secondary. So I have high hopes for Sean Desai. I'm really high on him, unlike a lot of people. I think a lot of people are not high on him, or I think some people are, but I'm really, really high on Sean Desai. How about you?
Yeah, I think Desai. Well, those are some great points you said there. But I think Desai will do. I think he'll do just fine with the Bears. I think he has a lot of like chemistry with the organization, if that makes sense. I think he's been with the organization since 2013. I think he was a safeties coach. Am I right on that?
Yeah, I think you are.
Yeah. So I don't know too much about him, but I think he has a good defense to work with. Hopefully, Robert Quinn can have a bounce back season. I think that will really help. He has Khalil Mack, Eddie Jackson, like you talked about. I think he has a good defense to work with, and since he'll probably use some Vic Fangio like schemes and his play calling for the defense, so I think he'll do just fine.
Yeah, and I think Vic Fangio also spoke very highly of Sean Desai. And Sean Desai is like the Vic Fangio disciple. And I think that Sean Desai, he has a lot of inspiration from Vic Fangio and some from Chuck Pagano. So I think it'll be like a little bit of mixture of both, probably more with Vic Fangio. And you brought up a good point with Robert Quinn. Chuck Pagano last year really used Robert Quinn in the wrong way. Sending Robert Quinn into coverages, sending Khalil Mack into coverages, it didn't make any sense at all. Like, why is he doing that? That's what the safeties should be doing. So that's where Sean Desai differs, and I think Sean Desai is going to really help Robert Quinn. And then there's some rumors that Robert Quinn had drop foot. There's some rumors that he was injured last year. So hopefully another year we'll get Robert Quinn back healthy. And Robert Quinn definitely needs to bounce back this year. This is like his make or break year. If he does not bounce back this year, he will probably be cut because we can cut him next year for relatively nothing and have nothing in dead, like relatively a low number in dead cap. So I think that, Sean Desai, hopefully he can fix Robert Quinn, because if we get a good defense, if we get a good linebacker, if we get Robert Quinn and Khalil Mack coming off the edge at elite level, this is a top 10, this is a top 15 defense in my opinion. So we really need Robert Quinn to bounce back, and that's just my opinion.
Yeah, I mean I think that's what the defense was really missing is Robert Quinn and Keem Hicks also getting injured, but he's been getting injured as he gets older throughout his career. So who knows where he'll be this season. I don't think the Bears will trade Akeem Hicks this offseason, but we'll see how it goes with him as well this season coming up. Hopefully all these players can stay healthy. And I have a question. Are you worried about the cornerback position?
Yeah, I'm glad you asked that. I was going to ask you that too. Yeah, I'm really, really worried about the cornerback position. I know I made a video about it, so go check that out if you guys haven't already. But cornerback to me is probably one of the weakest positions we have on the Bears. And the reason for that is when you lose a guy like Kyle Fuller, a top 5, a top 10 cornerback, that's going to be a little bit of a drop off. And I don't know if Jalen Johnson can be that guy. I think he can be that guy. I think he has a lot of potential. I mean, before he got injured, he was one of the top corners in the game. For Jalen Johnson, it's that can he stay healthy and play at an elite level? And if he can do those two things, we're set at the number 1 cornerback position. Now, we have to talk about the number 2 cornerback position. Who's going to be that guy? I talked to Keek on the mic about this. Is it going to be Thomas Graham? Is it going to be Kendall Vildor? Is it going to be someone else, like a guy who they go out and sign, like Steven Nelson, Richard Sherman? Who's going to be that number 2 cornerback? It's still a big question mark, but I have high hopes for Kendall Vildor. I think he can be that guy. And I think he's going to surprise a lot of people. He's working out a lot. He's working on his game. And, I don't know if anyone in chat can help me out with this one, but he wasn't too bad last year. He was pretty good. I mean, he was okay when he filled in for Jalen Johnson. He did really, really good. I think that if Kendall Vildor can take a big step in his career, in his career, this can be a really good cornerback room. But Kendall Vildor needs to take that big step. Otherwise, cornerback will probably be our number 1 issue heading into the draft next year.
Yeah, we definitely do have a lot of young potential at the cornerback position, but how quickly will they develop? And I think this next season will be a huge step for these young cornerbacks' development.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that maybe Thomas Graham could be that guy. I think Thomas Graham has played on the outside before. My prediction, though, is that I think Thomas Graham will be the nickelback, and I think that Duke Shelley will be on special teams. So that's just my prediction on the cornerback thing, and who I think will. And then I think Kendall Vildor will be that number 2 corner. So yeah, that's just my thoughts on our cornerback position. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good way to look at it.
Yeah. Do you have any other questions? I'm happy to answer them.
Here I'm thinking. How do you how do you think Andy Dalton will do if he starts week 1?
Yeah, so playing against the Rams is hard for any quarterback to do. You look at the Rams; they're one of the best at defenses, but I think that I talk about this a lot with Keek on the mic, and people I think are too fast to hate on Andy Dalton because we got a new Justin Fields. And one of my friends, his name is Jamie Live, he's a YouTuber. He talked about the differences between Andy Dalton and Justin Fields. He talked about like how Andy Dalton is like that Honda Civic. He's like that Toyota. He's like that reliable guy that you can count on. And Justin Fields is like that Ferrari, that fast car, that thing that you want to drive. So, that's just a good comparison between the two, Andy Dalton and Justin Fields. So I think that Andy Dalton is average. I think Andy Dalton is a better quarterback than Nick Foles. He's a way better quarterback than Nick Foles, in my opinion. He can do a lot more than Nick Foles can. Than and he can do a lot more than Nick Foles did for our offense, and Nick Foles did. He's like an older version of Mitch. Another thing I like about Andy Dalton is if there's pressure, Andy Dalton has the legs to move. He's a guy who scrambles, and I like that about Andy Dalton. He has a decent arm, not anything like Justin Fields, but he's an average guy. He's an average quarterback that you can possibly count on. Do I think Andy Dalton will start the whole season? No. I mean, I think Justin Fields will start week 4. But I'm willing to see how it goes with them. I'm willing to give Andy Dalton a chance, and I'm willing to let it play out. And if Andy Dalton is by week 2, if he's throwing a bunch of interceptions, if you're Matt Nagy, you got to pull him out, put in Justin Fields. I don't care if that's in the Browns game. I don't care if that's in the Rams game. You have to start Justin Fields and give your guy a chance to play.
Yeah, great points. Great points. Because, if the Bears, are losing a bunch of games right off the bat under Andy Dalton and they're not bringing in Fields, Matt Nagy's job has been on the line for a while, and, he will be, way more in the hot seat. And also, I kind of feel like the Bears, I don't know if you're going to agree with this, but I kind of feel like the Bears have to have a winning season next season because they don't have a first-round pick next draft because they traded it to the Giants, and it was a good move because we got Justin Fields out of it. But I feel like we kind of have to have a winning season, or at least make the postseason in some way, even if it's the wild card.
No, exactly. Like last year, I wanted the Bears to lose because we have that first round pick. Now that we don't have that first round pick, now that we have Justin Fields, we have to win as many games as possible. And you don't want to give the Giants a high pick, because Giants fans are going to be annoying and really annoying and stuff. But you don't want to give the Giants a high pick. And that's what I think. I think that we have to win a lot of games this year so that we can give the Giants a lower pick, a pick in the 20s and 30s, I don't know if the 30s will happen, but if we can give a pick around the 25 range, that's something that I do not mind because you're relatively close to that second round too. And, you're good. And a ton of guys fall to the second round. So I'm not too worried about that. But yeah.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, you want to make the Giants have a low pick, so it won't make you feel bad about trading that first round pick.
Yeah, and well, before we go to our next question or end it here, if you guys are still here, please like this for so that it gets pushed out to more people. And yeah, so do you have any more questions? Any last minute questions for me about the Bears?
Yeah, I think this will be my last question. Do you think the New York Jets is a great trade partner for the Bears to trade Nick Foles there?
Yeah, that's a question that a lot of people have, and that's might be a video I did. I should probably look into doing. There was a rumor a couple days ago, the Bears are having a lot of calls for Nick Foles. That rumor, I don't know if I believe that rumor based on the account, and the account hasn't been really real, if you know what I mean. It kind of reports fake news in a way, but Jets make a lot of sense. Because none of the quarterbacks on the Jets have thrown a touchdown pass, have thrown a pass, and that's worrisome. Like if you're the GM there, you want a quarterback who knows, who has thrown the ball, who can help Zach Wilson. Because what if Zach Wilson is not that guy? What if he goes down? The Jets really don't have that person there. They really don't have that person to take over, to help mentor him. Another thing that I think that makes sense is a team like Jacksonville. You look at Jacksonville. Jacksonville might be a good team. What if Trevor Lawrence goes down? That might be a good team. I like the Washington football team. Sure, they have Fitzmagic, but they're another team. Like, what if Fitzmagic goes down? They really don't have that other quarterback who can take over. So I think they make a lot of sense. And I think Nick Foles can succeed with the Washington football team. It'll be similar to him in Chicago with that good defense, and hopefully he can be that guy. But I can't think of any more teams on the top of my head. Maybe the Colts make sense with Carson Wentz. If he cannot be that guy, the Patriots, I don't know if the Patriots make sense. They have Cam Newton and Mac Jones, but the Buffalo Bills, not the Bills, they have Trubisky. The Tennessee Titans make a lot of sense. Like if Ryan Tannehill goes down, maybe they want that guy. I can't think of any more teams, but these are just the teams that I kind of thought of who really make sense for Nick Foles. And if you guys in the chat have some questions, we got 6 people here, so shout out to you guys. Thank you for joining my live, and go subscribe to my Chicago Sports Burst channel, and that would mean a lot towards him. Like this video if you found value in it, and also subscribe if you don't want on my channel. Hi, my name is Advit, and I make ChicagoSportsVersed content. But if you guys have any questions, I'll give it like a few seconds, and if not, thank you so much for coming on. Do you have any last minute questions for me?
I will tell you that those were some great teams that you talked about for Nick Foles to go to, and I really don't think I have any more like big questions about the Bears. I will, to add on to the Nick Foles thing. I think if we trade Nick Foles, I would want to get maybe like some defensive players out of it, or maybe like 6th, 7th round pick or some sort of draft pick if we were to trade away Nick Foles.
Yeah, I mean, if you can get a team to take his contract, that's a dub. That's a major dub, because Nick Foles' contract is huge, and it's not that bad, honestly. But Nick Foles' contract is not that bad. I mean, maybe if you can get a late round pick, that would be cool. Maybe like a depth piece, at the linebacker position, something on defense would be cool. But I don't know if we're gonna get a lot for Nick Foles. I doubt we will. But yeah, I mean, we'll have to see where that really turns out. And I don't know if there'll be any big trades for us, honestly. Nick Foles might be the biggest. Maybe we go out there and trade for a left tackle so that you can move Tevin to right tackle. Like, yeah, maybe that's a possibility. In terms of signings, I'll be really quick with this. A guy like Russell Okong, I like, and yeah. But actually, let's talk about Eddie Goldman. Do you think Eddie Goldman will come back to the Bears?
I think he will, and I think he'll be a huge piece to this defense. I think I saw a video on him on Twitter working out and getting ready, training with the team. So that's great news. And I'm so excited to see him come back, because that 2018 season, he was a big part to that Vic Fangio defense. And hopefully he can play the same way he did in 2018 and stay healthy and just provide a lot to this defense and help Sean Desai.
Yeah, that's facts. I mean, we need Eddie Goldman. You look at last year, we kind of struggled in that run game without Eddie Goldman. And Eddie Goldman is like that stopgap player. And sure, you can play Batal Nichols at that defensive tackle position, but Batal Nichols is a defensive end. And you get those two, you get Eddie Goldman, you get Akeem Hicks, you get Batal Nichols. That's a good line. And I think Eddie Goldman will show up, contrary to what people believe. I don't think he's going to retire. Um, although Brad Picks did report it, and he's one of the most active reporters. But hopefully Eddie Goldman does show up. He's been working out a lot. He's been rocking some Chicago Bears gear, so hopefully he's coming back. And we will have to see where that takes us. But chat, let me know. Do you guys think that Eddie Goldman will come back? Type a yes or a no here in the chat, and yeah, see if anyone will respond here. All right. Well, I'll give it a second, but yeah, hopefully Eddie Goldman does show up. But we do have those dead pieces. I know I made a video on it. We signed Mike Purnell, who can be that guy if Eddie Goldman leaves, but he's more of a defensive end from what I've seen. And yeah, but we really need Eddie Goldman to come back. So hopefully he will. But I don't think if he doesn't, you know, uh, Tonga will have to be that guy. Tonga will have to step up and be that guy. So, we will have to see about that.
Yeah, Kyrie's Tonga we drafted as well. Yeah, hopefully he can develop fast if Eddie Goldman's not playing. And yeah, I'm excited to see all these rookies play that we drafted.
Yeah, I'm excited too to see what Tevin Jenkins could do, to see what Thomas Graham can do, to see what Khalil Herbert can see what Daz Newsome can do. I'm really, really excited to see this offense, and I hope you guys are too. But Chicago Sports Bears, thank you so much for coming on. I hope you had a lot of fun with me. And if you guys here want to go live with me, hey, I'm open to it. I like to bring on my fans. I like to bring on my subs here. Again, thank you all for subscribing. And you especially, you have been one of my biggest supporters, dude. You're one of the guys who regularly comments on my channel, who regularly likes it for the YouTube algorithm. So just thank you so much for your support, man. And I hope you really enjoyed this, and I hope you have a good rest of your night. But without further ado, peace out and bear down.
Thanks for having me.
No problem, dude. And thank you guys so much for watching. You guys are the real MVPs. I know we didn't get a lot of people here, but all of you who came and watched, thank you so much for watching. And you guys mean the world to me. So thank you guys for your support. And yeah, peace out and bear down.